What a cool looking PC! Does it run Windows, DOS, Linux, Unix? No, it's a Mac, and it runs Mac OS. How deceptive!
It is on your mind. It is on your mind. It is on your mind.
The unthinkable has happened. Just in the mid-90s, when Apple was in a deep crisis. Not only financial, but Apple was also reinventing their identity every couple of years. Computers, PDAs, displays, scanners, CD-ROM drives, network servers? Did I say webcams? Yeah, cameras? And an operating system that lagged behind in many aspects. But the worst thing was the variety of Macintosh models available on the market. A low-cost model for entry-level applications, a slightly better model for more advanced users, mid-range models for the enthusiasts, and high-end workstations for the insane. And although Apple was always a major player in the creative market, revenue was still bad.
Hello and welcome. Let me assure you, we failed. We're going back to our roots. It's pretty clear we must fail. Easy to say, but challenging to implement.
And this plague called Microsoft Windows 95 wasn't making things better.
This is very nice looking. It's got a floppy drive, the good old MS-DOS-based Windows.
Between 1985 and 97, a turmoil of several CEOs, each with unique ideas and ambitions, steered Apple almost into bankruptcy multiple times. The funny thing is that there was demand for the machines, but poor supply chains and inventory issues either meant stockpiling or the inability to deliver orders. So, what does a smart CEO do to boost sales?
So what does an intelligent CEO do?
License the Mac operating system to other manufacturers, meaning they could build their own machines and whatnot. And here goes a wild and weird story in the times and history of Apple.
Did you know how YouTube works? Everybody's like, oh yeah, I'm using this and that equipment from this company and you need to buy it because it's so super cool. I mean, this is like, it's a great microphone, man. It just captures my effing voice and...
From early 95 to mid 97, the Mac market was flooded with so-called clones by manufacturers like Umax, Motorola, Radius, Power Computing and even Pioneer. In 1996, clones began to cannibalize Apple's own high-end market, their most profitable slice, and the clone market was quickly extinguished. If you're interested how crazy clone manufacturers went, I recommend watching the video Daystar Genesis MP on the channel This Does Not Compute.
I went into the Habak and began a vision quest. And while I was there, I saw many things. And I saw you.
Released in 1996 with an initial price of approximately $2,600, this mid-end workstation featured a modest PowerPC 603E processor in a PC-like case, using kind of standard components. No, it could not run Windows, and it's still a RISC platform. but it shipped with a Umax-infused version of Mac OS 7 and later Mac OS 8. The case allows for 3 5¼ drives, coming in handy for adding a CD burner or installing a SideQuest drive. Standard floppy, a power switch, and a headphone jack complement the design. If it weren't for the PowerPC sticker, one could easily mistake this for a Wintel machine. The backside is even more mundane. There's an ATX style power supply, a couple of connectors, and slots for PCI cards. Let's take this thing apart. One screw and 2 plastic notches hold the plastic housing in place. The internals don't look too bad, but one thing instantly stands out. The PCI cards are kinda flipped, sitting on a riser card. This feels strangely familiar to my Compact Desk Pro. I am obviously cursed. But installing cards isn't too much of a hassle, as the bottom of the case can be removed to reach the expansion slot screws. Take this, Compact! Given the design of the case and logic board, the card riser seems inevitable. After removing the metal rail holding the riser, I can pull out the board and take a look at the logic board.
I saw you.
Things look neat and tidy, and if I remember correctly, Umax used the Apple Tanzania logic board design and modified it to their own extent. Speaking of, the CPU has a neat looking heatsink, and the complete module can be removed using a metal lever like an x86 systems of the day. It draws a couple of watts, as the PowerPC 603 was one of the least energy hungry CPUs of that time. It turns out that the processor is connected to a socket 7, which was also widely used in the x86 world. While this processor looks nice, it was certainly not the quickest one, sitting in between the older PowerPC 601 and the high-end PowerPC 604 processor. The amount of RAM slots is almost an insult and giving me headaches. 168 pins, 5 volts, Edo fast page modules. Good luck on getting these sticks for a decent price. This machine shipped with a little bit more than 32 megabytes of RAM, which is barely enough to run macOS with standard applications. The daughter board offers PCI slots and 1 communication card slot, an exotic thing of the Apple world. And it's got a connection for the floppy drive and a hole for a small fan. There are 3 5¼ drive bays, of course using custom carriers to hold drives in place, and as I don't have any spares of those, this case will likely be limited to 1 drive until the end of time. I love it! For hard disks, Umax made sure that there are at least 2 positions to put them, one below the floppy drive and the other one mounted vertically next to the power supply. There's also SCSI and IDE, a sign that the migration to cheaper components was already taking place. In favor of Ada, SCSI would be totally omitted in later Macs. Goodbye, SCSI. Let's get back to the PCI situation once more. The Apus has onboard video, which means there is a connector for Apple displays at the back of the computer, sufficient for everyday work, but definitely not for professional means. So instead I installed a 4Mac Performance 2 graphics accelerator boasting 4 megabytes of dedicated video RAM. It uses one of those obscure graphics processors of the 90s, an Imagine No. 9 Ticket to Ride, supporting OpenGL and Rave, Apple's proprietary 3D API. The card supports nifty features like font cache and real-time window dragging, albeit with interesting effects when leaving the screen. 4Mac was a manufacturer from the early days of desktop publishing, originating from Germany, mainly offering custom display solutions to satisfy the growing DTP market in the early 90s. They've created beasts like this video card, bundled with a CRT, which made exclusive use of the functions the card offered. Later on, SuperMac also sold graphics cards for entry-level applications. The company unfortunately didn't survive the 2000s, collapsing somewhere around 2003. To allow for an original experience, I will be installing a Umax-infused macOS 7.6 on this machine, which originally shipped with those computers. The intriguing charm of macOS 7.6 is something to be experienced firsthand. As with every macOS installation, the process is straightforward and relatively quick. The installation procedure asks for the hard drive where the installation will take place, and you can then select the system components you wish to install. A dialog informs us that there have been issues which have been fixed, but this dialog is likely related to the third-party hard disk driver and does not have further consequences. The installation of macOS 7.6 has finished, and we can reboot the machine. First thing which stands out is the custom SuperMac wallpaper, making clear that this is not a Power Mac, but a SuperMac. As with every good 90s thing, we are greeted by a registration dialog, totally skippable but neat looking. And here we are, taking our first steps in a fresh install of macOS 7.6, the last iteration of what I personally consider the best macOS ever. A button is a button, and it only needs to do two things: make it obvious that it's a button and clearly show what it does. The same principle applies to almost every other element of the user interface: windows, scroll bars, icons, menus. Everything is functional, straightforward, and kinda monochromatic. It's simple, but it works exactly as you expect it to. Good design should be about clarity, predictability, and respect for the user's attention. macOS 7 understood that in many ways. And of course, macOS 7 had many questionable and incomplete design ideas. Window clutter quickly became overwhelming. The idea of finer tabs or window switching wasn't born yet. Many things just haven't been invented yet. And user feedback to the software devs was crucial to make things better. Still, much of that improved with macOS 8, while the overall look was revamped completely, resulting in the so-called platinum look. So let's enjoy this trip for a while. System 7.6 is nice, and there's already plenty of PowerPC optimization, but it's also antique in many aspects. There are obvious drawbacks, starting with the HFS file system, limiting the practical use of larger partitions due to the proportionally scaling sector size. To speak in simple terms, every file on your hard disk has a minimum size, for example 32 kilobytes. Even if you're only saving a tiny text file with a couple of kilobytes, the file still grabs 32 kilobytes on your disk. This has technical reasons, but in HFS, this means that the minimum file size on larger disks is extremely huge. If you ever ask yourself why I've got so many disks on my desktop, this is the reason. Those are just smaller partitions of one hard disk to cope with the sector size limits. Multitasking is possible, but very limited. For example, copying a file blocks the whole system until the process has finished. Same goes for emptying the trash. There are easy workarounds for that, like copy doubler, but it's still cumbersome. The true potential of this machine only shows with later revisions of macOS, so we'll give macOS 8.6 a try. This system was kind of a sweet spot for machines like this. Not too bloated, but still offering good PowerPC performance, OpenGL support, TCP/IP networking out of the box, and way better multitasking, albeit still in cooperative form. And it has a nice user interface, with the clean, more three-dimensional platinum look.
What's fun on this system? Definitely Bryce. Okay, maybe not fun, because it's super slow, but satisfying. You can create your own 3D worlds,
in a playful way. There's no learning required. Rise offers a type of user interface which is self-explanatory. Thank you, Kai. And Marathon, the game series preceding Halo long before Microsoft swallowed Bungie, one of the early adopters of the Macintosh platform. Marathon is an ego shooter which offers superb graphics and sound. And does it run Unreal Tournament? Yes and no. This is UT99 in software rendering. I could not get the performance graphics card to render the game yet, but even if, the performance will be modest. A Voodoo graphics card will help, but that's for another day. I gotta admit that I didn't film any more sweet spot applications for this Umax. It will run any software of the day just fine. And maybe there will be another video pushing this machine for what it was built. If you like this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. For more vintage madness, check the end card of the video, and thanks so much for watching.
Ain't that crazy? And with that said, welcome to another episode of Last Century Vibes, presenting old shit like this Umax Apus 3000. It's a clone, and here's the story behind it. Enjoy! Beep beep beep.